Welcome everybody to this final day of this weekend of the semifinals for Albion Giants League playoffs. We have today the second matchup. If you're here yesterday, you were able to see Maddie and the Baddies versus Broken Immortals of our Gladiators division. And today we have the other side of that matchup, which is W Key and Gas Pedal. With me here on the desk, I have Snake. How you doing today?
Playoffs are always good to see, so I'm excited to see these matches.
Yeah, with this matchup here, we have the W Key, who are the first overall seed. They didn't take any spills this set, and as such, when they faced Guest Battle, they were able to 2-0 them. Couple, looking over there, a couple of some key matchups here. What are you kind of looking for here if they want to try to turn this around for Gas Pedal and try to take this team down that hasn't lost all season long?
I mean, they had plenty of time to, study what they've been doing. So I guess just, study the strategy across the whole season and try to contest that.
Yeah, and hopefully we're going to see that for you. And without any further ado, we'll go ahead and drop you right into those picks and bans here. We have W Key here as the first overall pick. With that kind of adjustment, do you think it's going to be a little bit more than towards the target bans, or do you think it's going to be kind of standard in game one and just kind of play to their strengths for Gas Pedal?
I think, in these circumstances for the first phase of bans, it's just, stick to the meta of what, is a strong. Maybe later into the last four bans that is going to be more targeted bans, because you know what roles are left. So that's like the strategy.
Yeah, and that's what you like to see. And right off the bat, set very strong ban that we see right here at the beginning. Still kind of had some nerfs with some of the buffs and stuff that have come through, and nerfs and stuff, and items changing, but still a solid overall first ban if you ask me.
Yeah, pretty solid pick in the jungle overall. You can see also him solo, but in the jungle he's just a win condition that you don't want to see in the other team.
Yeah, and something we've seen a little bit in these playoffs around these mid divisions is that Morrigan ban. A lot of flexibility with that alt, where you can use that changeling transformation to go into any other alt. But kind of surprised to see that banned over some of the other gods we've seen, like Giannis and Tiamat, who are currently still open.
Yeah, I guess the Morrigan, it's a really solid pick because you have like this comeback potential with her. You can in an important team fight you can just transform to the best god in the game and just turn on the fight around. So I guess they don't want to see that in their later team fights.
Yeah, and with that, another mid lane ban who I have mentioned we haven't seen a whole lot, Persephone banned out. Has seen that rework of a couple of those abilities and has now got back into the play, I believe, as of this week. So still seems strong considering that it's getting banned right away.
I mean, people argue that she's more easy to use right now, but I think that the damage is still there, and the ultimate hasn't changed, which is like her best ability, and the one like is better at team fights. So not surprised to see her ban.
Yeah, with that, another mid lane ban there of the Tiamat. Nothing super surprising. However, surprising though, Ares ban for the last ban of W keys here kind of feels either targeted or kind of a comp ban that they're trying to pick around here.
Yeah, it can be as you said. Iris is the in the tree of like aggressive supports. So I guess they don't want to see that in the dual lane. They want like a more passive support like Ajemoya, But I guess it's kind of surprising for the first bans, but maybe I don't know the other team can handle it well.
Yeah, and with that, it does leave a couple of picks open here. They do opt Gas Pedal here to ban the Gilgamesh as the last ban of that first ban here. But with that banned away, I mean, Giannis, Raijin, some solid Silic, and kind of top pick, mid lane picks that we've seen a lot of, as well as in support. The Sobek, Yamoja, Ymir all left open. So really a lot of direction that both W Key and Gas Pedal can kind of go with these drafts.
And this is like the moment that you have to pick wisely if you want to stick with your draft or your strategy or just like deny picks for the other team. I guess there are ones who have to be more careful with that is Gas Pedal because W key is just hasn't been beaten yet. So I guess this is like the time when they have to pick wisely into the other team's draft.
Yeah, and they do have that benefit of, I think, being in the stronger pick, which is that second pick, and with different picks like we mentioned, that Sobek being hovered one of them, but also Tsukiyomi and some others that are open, it does give them that flex to kind of go in and kind of grab either two pieces of a comp they want or some good counter picks to kind of grab away as WK does lock in that Sobek.
Yeah, Sobek really strong pick. Kind of surprising yet for me to see like a support to be the first pick. I've preferred since they banned a lot of mid laners to see like a mid lane for the first pick. But I guess it's just what they want. I mean, it's a really good pick overall. So maybe that's they want to secure it.
Yeah, and with that Sobek locked in, Gas Pedal opt to also go for their support in and lock in this Fafnir. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that's seen this, especially after what we've seen over these last couple weeks of playoffs. But with this Fafnir, I think double Hunter as they Gas Pedal go ahead and hover this soul.
Yeah, the only question mark that we have with the soul that for me is kind of smart. Like, is she going to the hunter role or is she going to mid? I mean, you can. I'm pretty sure that we're still going to see a hunter in the gas pedal draft. It's just we don't know still if it's going to be in the dual lane or the mid lane.
Yeah, with Chiron being very high in the meta, as well as On Her and some other strong of those hunters over there that you usually see in that duo lane. There's a lot of flexibility for them to go to pair with this soul. Interesting to see them lock that in rather than the Chiron. I think Chiron offers a little more of that flexibility early, especially with that cleanse into that Sobek pick. But what you're comfortable with, and that can usually happen first, is now W key kind of looking to respond is what might be their hunter matchup into that very aggressive On Her.
Yeah, I guess they are aiming to face a soul in the dual lane because if you're left the Chiron open, that just means like you want to contest with the more like uh, basic attacks instead of the abilities like Chiron do. So I guess like the Honor is a really good idea to kind of prepare to face whatever in the dual lane is going to be. I'm not really sure about the Thanatos though. I think that's there's going to be comparing like the draft so far. I guess there were another opportunities to have in the jungle.
Yeah, and all I'm seeing from this W key is their namesake. Very much aggressive, run it down. That Sobek on her dual lane is probably one of the most classic aggressive dual lanes you're ever going to see out there. And of course, this Thanatos with that execute at level 5 and just that gank potential at level 2 with that scythe doing that, percent HP and just chunking so early. There's a lot of pressure right now from W key, and Gas Pedals, as they hover this Chiron, is looking a lot more mid to late game with their draft so far.
Yeah, the double key draft so far is just really centered in the early game because Thanatos it just relies on the early game. If he has a good early game, he's gonna run down in the late. But if he don't, he's gonna really fall back into the late team fights. So no surprise, the Chiron for gas pedal. I guess that was just the most logical answer since he was left open.
Yeah, and I mean, it's with that Fafnir locked in, you got two strong ability, but also auto attack hunters, pseudo hunters with that soul, that magical ADC there. But very strong draft, and like I mentioned, we've got one draft kind of leaning towards that mid to late game objective focus, and the other that's pure aggression. And based on what we've seen over the last couple of weeks, we've seen both kind of work, but as we now see the Raijin here banned and Gas Pedal still focusing out mid laners with that soul locked in and Chiron, one of them going to that mid lane. Where do you want to see W Key kind of focus their bans? Is it still kind of pretty set and dry for where Gas Pedal's draft is so far?
Well, the Wukong, I think they are worried about the aggression that the backline can do. I mean, their backline can receive. So I'm guessing the next bank is going to be a jungler. But I think they are just trying to maintain the aggression in their draft. So I think like they are trying to ban gods that can deal with the backline so easily, like a Sang Wukong can do.
Yeah, and especially with that Thanatos as a jungler, Sun Wukong is one of those matchups that's really difficult. Well, you have that slow immunity in the two. There's just a lot of damage that can come out, and when you want to have that execute as an aggressive option, if you get caught out, it really kind of can hinder you. There is Gas Pedal again, still focusing out these mid laners with this Giannis band. Other than Scylla, though, right now, I'm not really feeling any mid laners that are kind of popping to my mind to throw in this W key draft right off the top of my head.
I mean, for the draft that they have, they're going to need like a really CC hard jungler to allow the mid laner. They're going to choose like free cast in the back line with no damage dealt from the other front line. So the ban there kind of suits that, because you don't want a Ravana to just go in all the back line and kill them.
Yeah, definitely trying to make sure to keep their options here in that second in the graph. Gas Metal do have this first pick going in the second phase, so curious to see if they look over to that solo lane or if they lock in their own jungle pick. Does look as they might be going for that solo though, as they are hovering this Hercule, which kind of interesting matchup into the pick so far, specifically for me, that Sobek.
Yeah, Hercules is not going to. I mean, of course, it depends of the matchup yet, but he's not going to have like a really good like laning phase. But the CC he can bring into a team fight is really worrying. So I guess they are going to pick this Hercules strategically to know to just bother the backline, to know to don't allow them to free cast and do damage to the other team.
Yeah, a lot of disruption Hercules has, and a lot of survivability with that mitigate wounds, able to do so much healing there, especially if not applied some great anti, which they do have the Sobek in hand, but an Aphrodite hover, not quite the mid laner I was thinking, but I kind of like it with their kind of dive comp. Aphrodite with that kiss can do a lot of damage safely and has some good self peel as well.
Yeah, now they pick it, so I guess they are trying to protect someone. And I'm thinking, I mean, I don't think that Aphrodite is going to be in the solo lane, so I think like they're trying to just prevent the honor or the Thanatos maybe to the hard CC that that Hercules has, and Fafnir also can bring in the ultimate. So I guess that's not surprise.
Yeah, a lot of telegraph CC, which that Aphrodite ultimate can give herself and someone else that immunity can be pretty strong through. Last pick here for this RDO, so it does look, as you mentioned, the Aphrodite in the mid lane, but that looks like we might have an RDO solo. I know that is one of the rougher matches for Hercules, mostly due to that cripple.
Yeah, I guess that's like a strong pick to go against lane to the Hercules, but it's not really the best matchup, especially late game. I mean, considering that they already pick an Aphrodite, I think they're going to just defend the backline as much as they can, because with the Fafnir and the Hercules, they already have a lot of disrupt, to deal with. So I'm guessing they are trying to defend the backline.
Yeah, and with that backline defense, I really want to see a dive heavy jungler here for Gas Pedal to kind of still match that because, like I mentioned, these pieces they got a lot of good individual play here, and specifically with that RDO pick, I kind of like it, especially when you've got the Chiron who has that very long telegraph dash, Fafnir who with that transformation can be caught out a little bit easier if he's not in the right position as they hover this Ratatasker. Not quite what I was thinking, but I do like that global alt for some good dive and map presence.
Yeah, I was thinking about Tsukuyomi for the dive composition, but I think the rat is kind of wise here because they're trying to match the global ultimate with the Thanatos. So I think they might try to contest the Thanatos ults with rat ults. So maybe that can work.
Yeah,
For me, it's just really high execution draft for both teams. So I don't know who's going to win this.
Yeah, that Ratatasker should be able to hopefully focus out that Thanatos a little bit, but we will let you guys get into this game, and we've got Vengeance and Bastion on the cast for you guys. Guys, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Batu and Snaked and Bastion. We are here to continue on our tournament. We have W Key versus Gas Pedal for our set of the day. We're getting into game number one. These comps both very interesting to take a look at. But overall, the Aphrodite mid, something we haven't seen a lot recently.
Aphrodite mid has fallen a little bit by the wayside because it doesn't bring as much pressure early game as the Soul that we've seen so much, as the Raijin that's been a flex pick as well for that mid lane. And that's part of the reason, because there's been so much play through mid, you really want to get a strong start there, or at least have a god that scales pretty well in the early. And while Aphrodite brings a lot of things to the team fights, they don't necessarily bring that pressure.
Pressure is definitely something that most teams right now are wanting to keep a hold of. As we do see a nice stellar burst in this mid lane, chunk down the Aphrodite a little bit, but he's able to heal right back up because, as we all know, the birds are the first thing you're going to go on Afro. With those down, he finds himself at under half health already.
Does have a bit of a sticky situation, but Thanatos also in a bit of a sticky situation is able to get out. They're trying to play to this pressure of the Ratatosker and Soul, and can't say that I blame them, because it does give them a lot. You're able to really clear the wave well, to look at these early ganks because of the Ratatosker. But talking about early pressure, we're seeing a little bit over here in the dual lane.
Well, we see the leap in coming from Isug. He's trying to find the first blood onto Kira. They're playing so far back, and just in time, Immortal is going to find the body block. But over in the mid lane, we see not Warden on the Ratatosker find the first blood onto this Aphrodite. This is an unfortunate situation for WK, because Aphrodite falling behind, I don't think is any game plan you want to rely on.
Not the best for them, and having this Ratatosker get ahead is certainly not what you're looking forward to either, as Ratatosker, one of those gods that can facilitate so much across the map because of that global ultimate, and getting ahead is really the early game where Ratatosker excels. Now, Thanatos also good in the early game, so that pick will help to mitigate some of that if they're able to play to it well, and you of course always have that execute, which scales great late into the game. It's going to be down to these two junglers. Whichever one's able to get more active in the early game is going to win out that jungle.
Early games sometimes can lead to a quicker end of the game, but with these two team comps, we may not see the early game even really applied much outside of this Thanatos. We outside of this first blood, it's really not beneficial, it seems, for either team to get ahead outside this one jungler. But we see the jungler fight already happening, as trying to defend his own side of the map is not Warden, but he's going to try and sneak this blue buff, possibly, but with no mana left, he's going to have to back. This blue is going to go the way of WK. The jungler getting that one pretty easily.
Big pickup there to keep the pressure on this Hercules, and Hercules will struggle a little bit with their mobility into Terra, or Ardio, sorry, has that ability to cripple out the Herc dash, which does limit what they're able to do, because the dash, such a big part of that kit. You really want to be able to throw down the two, pull someone in, and immediately push them to CC or get them stuck in the middle of your team. We saw that a lot. If you watch the SPL, what SOT was able to do so well was that combo exactly, just setting up for the team. Not going to be as easy for them with this Ardio hanging around.
Nope. Now, one thing we do get to keep an eye on during this set is the fact that after this, we're going to be getting ready for that mid-season patch of no boots, which will be a lot more interesting to watch, as gods like Aphrodite will no longer have that source of cooldown reduction and movement speed.
What Boots does do is open up a little bit more flexibility into builds, and we can see a little bit different coming out of it. It allows power to be picked up earlier. It allows for some of those cooldown items, though, to still be picked up. You could, of course, look at the Chronos if you really want to focus that down. You have the option of going into a Charon's early on, as well as even looking at a Spear of Deso, depending on the god you're playing. So it opens up quite a bit of flexibility for these mid laners to go into those more power spike items versus having to go boots, because right now, if you don't go boots, you're at a bit of a disadvantage.
Boots are that early power spike after all. We see the mid lane. It's come to more of a standstill since that first blood, with the supports rotating in. And we almost see a gank. Oh, no, we are going to see a gank opportunity here, as not Warden decides to dash on in, but the pluck under the tier 1 has a little bit of immunity there, thanks to some help from Hayabusa. And the ultimate is going to have to be expended as well, nearly falling. The ultimate gets him clean out. That's the back. And this does give WK a little bit of relief across the map, knowing that ultimate's down.
It does. Certainly something you want to have down. The pluck there, so instrumental in setting that up. The Fafnir transformation could warrant a little bit of extra aggression. Looks like they're just going to expend it without a clear way to get in. Aphrodite applying that healing that she is such known for, stems off, wanting to jump in there for the Fafnir, and instead going to clear out these red buffs. That does, however, give us time to jump over to the ADC lane, the duo lane, and talk about these differences in builds. We both see both hunters going trans, but going to have the death toll on Hanher for a little bit of extra survivability and sustain early on across the way. However, Chiron going for that very limited bluestone.
Definitely an interesting match up to see in terms of builds. But for now, we do have to pay attention to the fact that we already see Sug with this tier 1 boots, and the nice ultimate from Savage Monk finds himself a kill with the Death Scythe onto Cyphrix. A bit late of a return kill, but it does stack a little more gold and XP on this jungler than the early one would have. And we already see Warden being hunted down by 2 members of WK. They're not able to find the kill, but they are able to force the dash out and back. And with rotating members of Gas Pedal, they're looking to get out, stay safe. And Bastion, 6.5 minutes in, no one's been able to take a look at this Gold Fury Scorpion until now, it looks like.
Could be a bit of an opening here if they're able to find a kill. The rotation in the Gold Scorpion going to go down while the fight rages on a little bit in the mid lane. Finally fizzles out just a bit. Big pickup for WK there in the mid lane, able to distract just long enough on Gas Pedal for them not to see that coming. And the Thanatos does give you that benefit of being able to take down things like the Scorpion. You have the sustain. You can kind of just tank it up a little bit. And that's what we saw there. Really heads up play.
We do see these dual laners. Not much of a fighting since their supports have left, but a lot of wave farming coming out from these two. Seems like most aggression so far has been focused around the dual lane, or not the dual lane, sorry, the mid lane, which does feel like the dual lane now since the supports are here. But for now, we are seeing Sobek back. Doug Dimmadome. He's gonna looks like start into his gauntlet of Thebes, and now he has Sunder. Both supports started Sunder, but it looks like neither one upgraded it early.
Really surprised not to see the upgraded Sunder come through. To get the full value of Sunder, you typically want to go ahead and get that upgrade early on because you get extra damage when it hits outside of the percent damage that you get for the regular Sunder. And that's where a lot of the benefit comes through, is taking down these tanky targets because they have that additional damage being taken throughout the life of the Sunder applied. So I like the Sunder pick up. I don't like that they're not looking to go ahead and upgrade it. You can wait a little bit longer on some of these first items outside of boots to go ahead and pick that up for yourselves, as it's more of an impact relic than that Thebes is going to be early on.
We see an attempt to take Lizard Fuel down, but unfortunately Savage Monk a little too late to get there. Death Scythe is off the mark. No damage will be found. So Fuel will stay safe for a little bit longer, coming out of this rotation. And yet again, the mid lane. Both teams just instant clearing, but no, with no neutrals there's not going to be any kind of fight on this right side. Both teams are going to look for the left, see if they can get this off the timers. As we do, it does look like Savage Monk is going to go ahead and clear the oracles out, give him team vision, as Gold Fury is standing up. And that's just a good heads up play. I mean, I don't see Warden really making stride onto that left side early on. So the free vision, Bastion, it looks like WK may be able to be the first ones to find and attempt that goal.
And you certainly want that vision to set up for it. Looks like we could have a bit of a scrap here as Thanatos has found Rat in the jungle, gets some poke on, but not ready to commit just yet as the rest of the team rotating back into the mid lane. This will set up for a potential gank over here in ADC, but instead, Thanatos is going to rotate back towards the mid as Anhur jumps in.
The leap in, the dash out, and instead Monk is just hunting Warden down. He forces the ultimate up, and this could be a counter all on to him. We see the supernova coming out after the landing from Monk. In comes Warden. He wants to find the kill, but Cyphrix with the last auto will find that one. And Doug Dimmadome, he wants to get there to help his teammate. Unfortunately, too little too late. The 3 members provide too much damage. And Gas Pedal have found their second kill of the game. Maybe find their third here soon as the hammer hits, but it looks like no further aggression on him. Instead, he'll be the one taking control with the pluck. but unfortunately, Busha is too far back. So Cyphrix will be able to find his way back safely and even throw in a nice little stellar burst that hits both of them. And the transformation from the Fafnir comes out. The poison does spread to Busha. The healing's coming out though, and it's going to be too strong. Not enough anti-heal online in this mid lane yet. But the one with anti-heal now, Fuel, is rotating over. Busha is forced to use the ultimate. It's so close. Excavation used, but Busha is going to be the one who comes out with the kill instead.
Big play there, and it looks like they're going to continue this aggression onto the Artio, who might have found themselves in a bit of a pickle in the mid lane. Herc does get the 2 off, but the beads just good enough to stop the pushback into the team. Rotation coming out from Thanatos back towards this mid lane, instead drops out of it. And we just saw a bit of a disoriented fight there. Aphrodite able to stay alive for so long with that ultimate, with the healing. And that's the difficulty of an Aphrodite comp. If you cannot take them out of these fights early, they're going to make it difficult to win outright because that healing is such a big factor. We'll see if Gas Pedal do decide to look at that Cursed Ankh, and I would like to see it from them. Surprised we didn't see it early, honestly, to deal with this Aphrodite.
No Cursed Ankh early on, as you mentioned, so level 12 will be the first time we get to see it. And the closest one to that is going to be Lizard or Fuel. Now, whether he goes it or not will be another story. Maybe he will save that for Immortal to go. But for now, with so little anti-heal on the field, except for Cyphrix and the Brawler's Beast coming out of Warden, those two are going to have to be on top of Busha if they want a chance at killing. And speaking of a chance at killing, Warden goes up into the air. He wants to go down to Busha, but finds himself not able to get close enough. Instead, gets punished with some ults against him, but the Supernova comes down trying to take down Savage Monk. He's unable to find his target, so instead ults to get out. Warden manages to heal up just in time to not be executed.
So far, we've seen a bit of a spread out damaging onto these targets, just not able to focus all their damage on a single person, and Ratatosker gets out of it because of that, but so does Thanatos, and those ultimates allow them that nice utility of being able to just say, hey, I'm gone, and then suddenly you're not able to get the last tick that you want to get. We haven't seen a lot of kills so far. Both of these teams have been very methodical about their farming, and at 12 minutes, 4 kills is certainly more of an outlier than our norm. But if you look at it, there is a bit of a lead starting out here from W Keys, who seem like they've been on these buff timers just a little bit more.
Rotational farm's always very important. Oh, Busha finds the stun onto not Warden, so he may be in a tough spot. The dash goes through, the blink comes up from Thanatos. He's unable to find the scythe, but he does find the silence. Damage is coming in, but with the rotation from Fuel, it's going to be hard to survive this fight. Matter of fact, the pluck backwards, the ultimate is forced out from Busha. Dimmadome is able to find his way out smoothly, but Cyphrix is in a whole world of trouble. Busha finds the kill onto that one, and Kira in dual lane finds a solo kill onto Ista during all of this madness. And they are surging forward a little bit more, trying to find what they can. Up in the air goes Monk. He wants to find something, but instead, because they're so far under towers, he's going to go invade the speed buff. Find himself a nice little invade for free. Try and get away, though, because Fuel is chasing him down with Warden.
Might not be as free if they can't get out, but instead the turnaround on a Ratatosker, who will have to use the ultimate and does have it to get away. Already rotating in. Fafnir has come though, and that will force Warden back down, but not a good choice there as not Pingu is able to pick them up. Looking for another kill onto the Thanatos, who is very low. Fafnir though misses the jump, misses the one, and looks like they're going to be able to get out. Sobek rotating in as well to make sure that their jungler can get out, and just not a very clean fight there. Ratatosker, a bit of a curious decision to go back in.
I think he had a lot of confidence in his teammates to take that one down. Unfortunately for him, Monk did have the silence back up, so was able to stop those two from taking any advantage of the knockup coming out from Warden. So this does allow another couple of kills to come out for W Key. They find themselves up 4-3 in kills, and also up about 1k gold, almost 1200.
Is starting to make a bit of a difference in the gold charts. The XP difference quite a bit more though. 4,000 is certainly something to keep an eye on, as XP can be a big factor. A lot of it has been onto this Onher, who is still ahead of Chiron despite the kill on the rotation over from Fafnir early on. This gives pressure a little bit more still to the side of WKey. Onher able to facilitate a lot, and they have this Aussie online with the trans, so we'll see if they want to favor this Gold Fury, which has not been taken down yet. We've not seen that objective really looked at. Ratatosker, though, could find themselves on a rotation on the backside.
Madone all alone in mid is trying to force anything he can, but his teammates finally coming through. The Stellar Burst, though, unfortunately for Busha, half-healths him, but Monk is there with help even during the Supernova to finally kill him. Cypher. In comes Ward, and he's trying to find return kills of his own. But the stun from Busha, the double kill with the execute for Monk. He's trying to make it a third, but 2-4 under tower for him is immortal. The pluck, however, makes it even better opportunity. The birds come out for the healing. It's still not enough damage. He's surviving with so little health, and with the rotation from Lizard Fuel, there's no possible way to chase him except for Pingu with the counter rotation from the right-hand side.
Nice rotation out of solo there from Pingu. Should open up this look at Gold Fury, though Hercules is going to be in the area to start to slow them down. And what a combination there from Aphrodite Thanatos, able to get the damage on and allow the execute. Gold Fury picked up. It's around half health. We'll see if Herc can contest.
Field does have the ultimate. He's gonna have to look to try and get it over the wall, but instead Chiron uses his ultimate to try and find anything. Unfortunately, WKey still managed to get the Gold Fury from him, and they are surging forward as well. Lizard Fuel under half health, but with Warden up in the air, WKeys are more than happy to back away. He lands down by his teammates. No further aggression is going to come out of this fight, and WKey not only find themselves up 7-3 with kills, but an extra roughly 15 to 2,000 gold off of that Fury.
Big plays allows this gap to widen even more, and the biggest gap now sitting in this jungle. We talked about whoever was able to get out to the better start is likely going to have a nice edge, because both of these junglers can play early, and it just happens to be Thanatos who has notched a 4-level lead for themselves. But talking about a possible lead, it looks like Onher wants to get one for themselves, and does, as Sook is able to put down Chiron with that Desert's Fury. Tough one there for them, but the Great Impale really set that one up.
This will now open up a much better lead for Sugas. 30 seconds before Kira comes up. That's enough time to farm back, farm again. By the time you'll see Kira back in lane. And one thing I do want to mention, we've been making talk of these junglers a lot during this game and the possible effects they have on fights. But we're talking a 4-level lead for Monk. And one of the interesting things is Warden's Acorn decision.
Acorn a bit different, but hold on a second. We're going to have the execute come through as Monk wants to put their name in the hat once again, being chased down as they're looking for the kill onto the Ardio, but instead will settle for the poor Sobek. But Sobek has the dash to get out, re-engage here as we have a rotation from the Aphrodite. Fight still raging on, but Savage Monk has picked one up on the backside.
Monk just blowing up Cyphrix with the Blink Silent Scythe combo, and they are still fighting. Even with no health, WKey are fearless with Busha by their side. Dimmadome finds the finish onto Immortal support, takes one down, and the Fuel is trying to get away, but this tier 2 tower will be dove. Dimmadome will find a double kill for the support Sobek, and now the tier 1 mid is the target, with Warden coming back up from his respawn. Oh, this isn't good, because Pingu's here with Dimmadome. They're going to try stealing away this speed buff. It looks like they may have... No, they did not successfully do so, but it doesn't matter, because Busha comes in to find himself on a nice little spree.
Now Warden getting picked on around that speed buff has had a bit of a rough game so far. And talking about rough, is this what this Aphrodite has been able to do to this gas pedal team. We're trying to deal with these frontliners that have the Aphrodite linked to them, and this never-ending healing has been so difficult for them. You get characters low like we just saw in that last fight, and they're able to hang on for so long because of those birds, the linking, and of course that ultimate to save the life at the last minute when needed, or the immunity. And we saw right there, they're able to link up and get that fire Scorpion down onto a Sobek who was really low health once again because of that Aphrodite. In a comp like this, you really have to be able to get good dive on them and focus them, or it's going to be a nightmare to deal with.
WKeys after that fight find themselves up roughly 7,000 gold. Busha has been doing a great job for his team and himself on this Aphrodite. Matter of fact, they've been doing so good, they feel like trying to start a counter fight. But unfortunately for Busha, there is the anti-healing cursed relic. But now comes in more reinforcements. They're trying to find the 2 tanks alone are fighting 3 members. They're doing all the damage they possibly can. And in comes Monk with the XQ ultimate. It doesn't kill, but he finds the Death Scythe to finish off Cypherix mid so far in this extended engagement. They're trying to search for or find another one if possible. Immortal will be taken down for the double kill onto Monk. And in comes the ADC. Sue wants to make this even harder to escape. Blizzard Fuel taking heat from the Desert Fury. He's not falling yet, but he's going to use his own ultimate to create a little bit of spacing with damage. Savage Monk, as a result, finds a triple kill, and they want to keep finding more. Make that a quadra kill! Warden falling and coming in from behind his Kiro. This could be the Penta for the Thanatos if he gets the right angle. The
He's looking for it.
The silence is good. The Scythe is a little bit good too, but he's under the Phoenix. This may not work out. He
Oh, he
goes
wants
into
it.
the ultimate. He's taking too much damage so far, though. Will he be able to find it? The landing. No. It finds the kill and shuts him down.
No, that is so tough for Savage Monk, who was massive in that fight. Big shutdown there for the Chiron, who caught up a little bit off of it. Very unfortunate. Wanted that kill. And who can blame him, but just a little too greedy trying to chase underneath the Phoenix. It still hurts a lot at this point in the game, and this is the double whammy, really, that W Key has. You put a lot of attention on the Aphrodite, who you finally kill, and then the Thanatos comes up big in that team fight because they cannot focus them out. Getting the execute early, and then just the sustain afterwards makes this such a volatile comp to deal with.
Well, unfortunately for W Key, with their jungler deciding to go so greedy for the Penta, they do not find themselves able to do this Primal Fury with ease. In fact, because all 5 members are up from Gas Pedal, they are concerned about the positioning that could be coming out. They decide they're going to go back, farm the lanes, get their buffs, and come back and try this once again after Monk's back up. Or possibly look at this Pyro Fire Giant side. We don't know which one for sure, but Passion, W Keys have shown so far they're unafraid, and they are more than dominating game number 1.
They have a big gold lead for themselves, so it would be good to see them come over to this Pyromancer, take that down, as it's only going to make Fire Giant even easier to take. We haven't seen a lot of focus around these objectives, though, Vinge. I think we've seen 1, maybe 2 go down in 21, 22 minutes almost, and that is a little bit different than what we typically see of pacing. A lot of times it's earlier on, and they're looking for the fight once again.
Pingu charges on in as we see 3 members of WKF doing the Primal, and it's already down. So unfortunately, that means Gaspel will have to focus elsewhere, and Savage Monk is on the wrong end of that focus. Kira finding the kill onto him. But further on in the backline is Pingu. He's got a member under half health. Warden up in the air trying to support his team. Finds a knockup, but Pingu trades one out. Warden finally finds the kill onto Busha in the meantime. And they're still surging forward. WK have traded 2 for 1, not in their favor, but they don't care because Asug will find the second and the third for a double kill. They want these last 2 if they get the deicide. This Phoenix is free, but they're not gonna find them that easily. The 2 remaining members, Cypherix and Immortal, are able to defend and push back. WK will not be able to contest the Phoenix, but with the pressure, looking like they want to rotate for the Pyro.
Still a net win there for W Key. You lose 2, but you get 3, and you get that also vital Primal Fury on the backside, well, really the front side of it. Now you're open to being able to look at this Pyromancer, and picking this up will only further that gold lead, looking at about 10k, and 10k at 23 minutes is a very large lead for themselves. As we can see, it's mattering on having some items completely completed, while on the other side for Gas Pedal, only the Chiron is getting that close to finishing out their build. Still, of course, has the starter and the boots online that they want to trade out, so it's looking good for W Key at this point. Would like to see them back, gather up around this Fire Giant, take it down, and then threaten these last 2 remaining T2s on the map.
A good plan indeed. 24 minutes in, kills 20-7 favoring W Key. Not a single structure has fallen either, by the way. Only 2 tier 2 standing with 3 Phoenixes, and the gold lead is 10,000 up for W Keys. They have the items, they have the lead for experience to position however they want at this Fire Giant. They also have the numbers advantage because 5 of them are here by fire. Only 3 for Gas Pedal are available to contest, as Kira and Warden both are coming through the backsides to try and find any way to get through. Warden, unfortunately, can't go the way he wants, so he's going to be stalled, as there's only 2 members sitting on fire while attacking it. So Warden's going to find himself in the air, comes down, Gas Pedal against the steal of the Fire Giant as well. Busha nearly falling, paying his life as well. And instead, Warden, but the back end, Monk has found Kira all alone. Unfortunate for the ADC of Gas Pedal. He blinks and finds a double kill on the Warden. Maybe he can find a triple here yet again. He forces Aegis on his fight break. The Sue comes in to help him to take that one down. This only leaves the 2 tanks for Gas Pedal. It's not looking good. Was the Fire Giant steal worth it? No, it wasn't. Busha cleans up the 4th, and this opens not only a tier 2, but a Phoenix as well.
That's the struggle there, Vengeance. You want to get the Fire Giant, but you also have to win the fight after, and not able to do that as Gas Pedal as Phoenix falls. We're looking at a potential end situation, which should be the call for them, and it looks like WK agree with me as they're going to charge in. Only the Hercules left to defend. This is going to be tough. Barring a miracle, this should be their game.
It's falling way too fast. Lizard Fuel, you're doing everything you can, but no ultimate, no CC abilities, and with Monk in the air to come down on the execute, the damage is there. Then Isug will greedily take Fuel down, and then the Titan will fall immediately after. Game number 1, 25.5 minutes goes the way of WK in very, very convincing fashion.
Well, if anyone had questions about if a healing or lifesteal comp was still powerful, there is your answer. WK certainly think it is, and played that phenomenally through this Thanatos, through this Aphrodite. They got that mid pressure and were able to really play that throughout the rest of the game. Savage Monk notching the quadra for themselves had an absolute game, though silently this on her for Isuk also showed up in those team fights, able to take down the objectives when they needed around the Gold Fury. Not so much maybe the Fire Giant, but we'll let them out of that one considering how well and how dominantly they won the fight after.
Very impressive fight, even after losing the Fire Giant, indeed. But for now, to break down game number 1 and how all these turnarounds kept going on, we do need to throw it back to the desk. Guys, game number 1 was one heck of a game. Break it down for us.
Thank you, Vengeance and Bastion. And yeah, there is, I think it's safe to say, Snake, healing was the name of the game there, and WK had a lot of it.
Yeah, and even though they built anti-heal, there was not really that much they can do against it. Especially late game when they had like a good early game. There was just a matter of time to just, the snowball run off the wall.
Yeah, and like it was a lot of just diving in, trying to get some engages, and when their damage didn't come through, that healing just meant so much there. The Afro with that Chronos Band and able to use those birds to do so much healing, where I think we spent half the match under Gas Pedal's own T2s rather than anywhere else on the map.
Yeah, I mean, as I said before, this was like a really high execution. Both drafts were high execution drafts, and just the team that executed the most good way just won.
Yeah, and well, we'll be back here in just a moment. We're going to go ahead and get a quick break while we get it set up to bring you guys game 2. We'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back, everybody, as we're jumping into game here, too. Again, this is Gas Pedal versus W Key, semifinals of the playoffs in the Gladiators division. And here Snaked on the desk is Snake. We got Gas Pedal taking this number one draft spot here. What are you looking for them to try to grab here after that? Kind of bit of a rougher game one.
The thing is, like, if you want to deny what happened in game one, you will probably ban some of those picks. But if you ban some of those picks, you're going to left open the really strong like meta picks. So it's a really rough position that I don't want to be ever in that. So I guess just try to contest the draft from before with another playstyle, maybe another strategy. But for the first bans, it's just standard stuff.
Yeah, it's a pretty standard stuff. Hopefully, what we see because when you have an Aphrodite in the game and a Thanatos, it's not usually something we see a whole lot of people play. It's kind of hard to ban those kind of picks particularly out. But some of the ones I think we might be able to focus on was that Sobek. There were a couple of missed plucks, but for the most part, he was causing so much disruption in those team fights and so much setup. It really, I think, had a huge impact in that first game.
Yeah, for sure. Not really that impactful in the laning phase, but in the late team fights, he was really going in a disrupt position that really could have just bring so much to the team that I not surprised if we're going to see him again in the ban or the pick position.
Yeah, as you start not getting these bans to come through, and two bans we saw in game one, Morgan banned by Gas Pedal again, and again this Ares banned away by W Key.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be a targeted ban because first ban Ares, I don't know. I guess that's something that maybe they are afraid of. Or it's just like a targeted ban for Gas Pedal guys.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been very strong against their comp they ran last game, so you could see that target ban, but we do see adjustments from game one, and they're taking up on that advice you said as they do decide to ban this Afro away. Again, still focusing very heavily on those mid lane mages.
Yeah, I think, well, even though that the Aphrodite from first game wasn't really that damage dealer, if you saw her build, he was more like an utility based mage. So I guess they are like afraid of the peel that the backline of WK had in the first game. So I guess what they're trying to do is just deny the protection of the backline, so the strategy that they have in game one can work.
Yeah, able to, with that Aphrodite healing, building that Lotus Crown, having that Chronos Pendant for all that cooldown, was able to spend so much time under the 2-2 towers, especially in that mid lane, and so much diving where they were able to get so many extra kills. On the other team, they would have just been able to get out, not having that healing and that protections from that Lotus Crown. So definitely enabled this dive of all the characters there for W Key. So don't hate that ban. Heavy mid laners. Just two more mages have been banned out. Tiamat and the Persephone again seeing those bans.
Those two picks are not surprised because they are the most strong mid laners right now. But I'm really willing to see, I think the rat didn't work out really well. So I guess maybe they already didn't ban Thanatos, but something if they can pick it or just try to deny the good early game that he can have with another like dive hard jungler like Tsukuyomi.
Yeah, and not a whole lot of bans changed up here, but with that and a lot of these mages banned, we have a lot of top picks up there that we could see. Again, a lot of supports open, Ymir, Sobek, as well as the Gilgamesh. We might see that get here. I would guess if Gas Pedal didn't ban it themselves, they might go to pick it, as they do hover it here. But like I mentioned, that's just a couple of the Tsukuyomi, which we didn't see last game. There's so many different directions that Gas Pedal and W Key can kind of take to start to their drafts.
I like the first pick because Gilgamesh is a really strong pick, not only in the solo lane where you can mostly find him, but also in the jungler, and also in the support role. I've seen a bit of Gilgamesh support and can be really strong, but it's a nice flex pick to have like in the first pick position. So the other team just need to wonder where he's going to be.
Yeah, a lot of that flexibility being that warrior, having a lot to be able to go with that directions. But meanwhile, on the other side, W Key also keeping a little bit of flexibility as they do lock in that soul. Can be running the mid lane and the solo lane. And as well, their last pick for their first draft, they saw for the Ardio. I kind of like this. It worked for game one. Might as well bring it back for game two.
Yeah, the peel that the Ario did, it was really good. I kind of didn't expect that the Ario to do that much, but if that works in the game two, I mean, I don't see why not picking in the game two.
Yeah, and then taking this soul away, so it does leave a lot of flexibility still, like I mentioned. Soul able to flex in that ADC or mid lane, be able to play both. Pretty similar builds, but just have those different roles as well as Ardio. While we did see in solo last game, very much a competent support that can go over there too. So WK really still has a lot of flexibility where they could want to go with this draft as Gas Pedal looks to lock down some of their draft as they hover the Sobek and Raijin.
Yeah, I like this very much because in the first game they focused to the hunter role. I guess they were kind of afraid of what the soul was going to do, but now locking in the Raijin, a really strong mid laner right now, maybe this can work out for the gas pedal guys.
Yeah, and something else I see is they have a lot better peel here with that Sobek taking that away themselves and locking in this Gilgamesh, and even with the Raijin with that Taiko drums able to use that fear and that taunt as well as that dash that can be a great interrupt there and kind of peel for your team in some of those scrappier team fights, which is a lot of what we saw in game one. So I'm very much liking this gas pedal draft, but kind of surprised here. W Key's looking at this gap.
Okay, so I'm guessing they are trying to do kind of the same thing they did in the first game, just try to defend the backline. The gap shields can be really annoying, especially to the junglers that just go dive into the backline, expecting to kill the backline and then die. But if they kill the backline, they did their job. That gap shields can be really annoying to that. But they will not have the same draft as they have in the first game because they don't have like the initiation of the Sobek. So I don't know if they're going to like play a little bit safer with this gap. I'm really surprised about this pick.
Yeah, definitely fits that kind of identity as far as these kind of a little bit scrappier team fights that we've seen as we do sit those second bans, which the Chiron and the Thanatos both played in game one. We will not be seeing in game two here. But just with looking at the gas pedal draft, I mean, Sobek, Pluck, Raijin, Raijin's damage, Gilgamesh dropkick. Like, there's a lot of very telegraphed CCs that this Geb, if using that shield properly, can really get some of that team out of a jam. But I'm going to need to see another high dive jungler like that Thanatos to kind of round out W Key's draft.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you use the gap to protect your backline, but you're kind of missing the initiation, tank, and you already pick both of your tanks. You have the Ario who can initiate, but not as safely as like a Sobek can do. So I don't know. I mean, Geb can also do it, but if you go to initiate with a Geb, like imagine like a Blink ult, you're going to miss the protection of your backline with your shields. So I think this kind of changed the dynamic of the first game. So I'm willing to see what they have plans.
Yeah, and with, like you mentioned, with that not really having a whole lot of setup, I'm definitely going to see a lot out of this jungler pick that we were going to be waiting on here. Is the lot of bans there kind of make me think that for Gas Pedal, the Gilgamesh might be going over into their jungle for themselves. Thanatos, Tsukiyomi, Rat, all banned away in this game, so a lot of some top tier picks, but WK's going to wait on their jungler as they do hover this Neath. Again, one of those other flexible kind of hunter mid laners that we like to see in these kind of double hunter drafts.
I think this kind of fits like the place of the Thanatos in the last game in the way that you can secure kills with the Nith ult. But the thing is, like, that is not the jungler. Like, you have to be busy farming your lane with her. So I don't know. This is kind of a weird draft here from WK. I don't see what they're aiming at with this Nith.
Yeah, definitely a lot of. You mentioned in game one, they were really strong as far as that backline security, and while they do have a little bit of that in that Geb, Neith, no CC immunity in the kit. Soul, while she does have that disapparate, does take a little bit to get off, and outside of that, really doesn't have any sort of safety in her own abilities other than just returning damage. So right now, I'm not seeing a whole lot of safety or setup. So really, WK kind of really going to some comfort picks would be my hope here, and there's something that they think they can outplay Gas Pedal on. Gas Pedal, though, locks in the Osiris as they look now to lock in their ADC as the Honors might be their last pick.
Yeah, the Osiris, I guess, kind of fits the dive thing that they tried to do in the first game, but I don't think he has the enough CC to kind of fit that position. I mean, he has a stun, but it's not that really good confirmable CC. The other pick, though, in the other hand, I really like it because it has the aggression, and with the Regin in the backline, if they are allowed to freak us, they can do a lot of trouble to the WK.
Yeah, and one of the things I'm getting from this Gas Pedal draft is just space control. You have the Winds of Samash, you have that Raijin Taiko drums, Osiris with that tether can force so many people away from him as if he had COVID, and that on her with that ult as well. But this hover at the end, I didn't see coming in a Wheelix pick. I'm not sure if I'm not liking this pick. Maybe you can sell me on this, Snake.
I guess more CC to your team because R2 has enough CC, Gev kind of CC with the ult, but they don't have like the confirmable CC that maybe the picks for the first game can have. So I guess they are trying to match that, but again, a Willix is really like she can only grab one person with her ult, so not really like a team fight oriented, especially with the draft day going. So I'm still amazed with the draft because I really don't see where they're going. I guess it's just what you said, like just going for picks for this game too.
Yeah, WK and Gas Pedal seemed to almost switch a little bit more of that high execution comp. Gas Pedal going for a little bit more of that team fight dive, but we won't keep you in here longer. Vengeance, Bastion, flipping scripts. Does that mean the record's going to flip? Go ahead and take it away, guys.
Thank you guys on the desk, and Bastion, I think I'm in the same position as the desk looking at this comp coming from WK. I don't know if this is just like, hey, let's play whatever comfort pick we can, because I'm not seeing much synergy in this comp.
Well, Vengeance, Gas Pedal do have that traditional power comp that we've seen, but I like the spice that WK is bringing, and I think they have more than enough CC within this comp to deal with what's coming out of Gas Pedal. You have the stun coming out of the RDO, which can be big. You have this nice beefy front line paired with the Geb and that Cataclysm, all that it brings. And a Wheelix, of course, can play off these knockups and jumps to bring someone right back into it. We'll see if they're able to bring it all together. It is a bit of a high execution comp, but if they can, it's looking pretty good.
It's definitely something we'll want to keep an eye on as this game continues to go on, because after all, WK are looking to take this 2-0 over Gas Pedal, and Gas Pedal wants to get us to a game number 3 in exchange. So this is more of a do or die situation for them, and it also means the winner moves on to finals, play for their division championship.
Certainly something they're hoping for, as a Wheelix is hoping to get the kill in the mid lane, but does not have that last auto needed. And this Gilgamesh is going to limp back out. This is sort of what we've seen in response to Gilgamesh sometimes. Is this a Wheelix, which does have the power early on and through the mid game to control Gilgamesh and match what it does, as well as the Gravity Surge ultimate to bring them back in off of that jump if they find themselves in a bit of a pickle and don't like the fight. Well, suddenly you're back and you can't really use that reliable escape that you typically have.
We move over to the duel and we see both teams have fought it out aggressively against each other. But Gas Pedal were able to find the pressure in the end with their wave being up better than W Keys, so they will be able to get the Chat Harpy for free as well. And a little bit of attempted skill from coming out from Stug, who's over in the duel in Summer. Busha, he's the one piloting the Neath and mid. I'm going to be honest, I think I like this setup better because the Neath, you know, traditionally we may see over in the duel lane, but being over in mid paired against the Ryzen, it does have a better matchup, I feel, than Soul would.
I definitely agree there, Vengeance. It does have a better matchup, and of course, when you're picking a hunter in the mid lane, especially a hunter like Neath that does have a pretty strong early game, you're picking it to play off that pressure. We'll see if they're able to do it, but hold on, could be in trouble here, Zisu.
W Keys ADC gets plucked back. I just saw a burst, and Doug Dimmadome instead is going to be the one to find the first blood. That Stellar Burst not only did some damage, but it was a full send burst. Kira on the wrong end of this one, and Mortal unable to find the body blocks to assist his ADC. So within the first 2.5 minutes, we see that first blood, and it looked like it was all in favor of Gas Pedal at the start.
A little bit unfortunate that the kill does go to the Geb there. Of course, as an ADC, you're going to want that, and you're really going to want it on the Soul, who can make so much out of that early pressure. Now, big stellar burst there, and the damage that comes through so early off this character is why she's been picked so often, and also has that control off the knockup of Geb to really utilize what they have in their kit for damage.
Interesting to see the Raiju tossed out from the Raijin directly onto Busha instead of the wave for faster clear, especially when not aiming his clear ability at her to get as many poke off. I guess it may have been just to kind of deter any aggression, but seeing he had his teleport up, it's definitely a decision that is interesting to see.
Another interesting decision is looking straight away to what could either be a Charon's coin or could be looking at that Chronos pendant. Now, Charon's not as surprising, but if it is a Chronos, that's going to be a little bit different. We sometimes see the look towards the early anti-heal out of Raijins because they apply too well, but Geb in trouble.
Raiju does get chained onto him, but with that shield coming out, he's got more than enough health and protection to be able to walk away from the team of Gas Pedal. But the ultimate coming out of Busha, the backflip will finish off Cyphrix, and on the back end comes Savage Monk. He gets the Feather Stuff CC. The Cataclysm's off the mark though, thanks to the dash, and Immortal will find himself more than healthy and alive. And with Warden making his rotation over towards the neutrals, he's going to have to find his way out, as all three members of W Key were on their way immediately there.
Unfortunate Cataclysm. If that lands, there is likely the life of Sobek forfeit. And W Key have recognized once again where they have the pressure at. It's in this mid lane. They know they have the combination of the Neath and the Awelix to really utilize it, and that's what they're playing through. They know the strength of that. It's good to see it. And so far, this Raijin just has not had maybe the best positioning and these engagements to secure their safety. And if you don't have really good positioning and awareness in this mid lane, you're going to pay for it.
Busha, we do see, has that awareness. Is the backflip was in time for Warden not to be able to find the stun off the minion kick. Instead, though, Gas Pedal will take advantage of the mid lane being open for a little bit, find some minions under the tower. Will not be able to do much damage, but it does give them the freedom to roam and try and find any source of XP they can. Unfortunately, though, you see the Raijin has gone away from the right neutrals. Whereas in duo lane, Zug is caught in the ultimate of Warden. He's trying to find his way out with the Disapparate. He gets a shield, though, because of the rotation from
the
Dome.
turnaround.
And is able to find the turnaround kill as well. The ultimate coming in from the mid laner, but it doesn't matter. A double kill for Zug. The ADC of W Key is on fire, 2-0-1, and seems completely ungankable at the moment.
Doug Dimmadome gives a big help there with the Geb shield, allowing the safety of their ADC and Soul able to disvaporate and go in there and just immune so much of that damage. Plus the lifesteal in the back end makes for that turnaround to happen. Unfortunate that they're not able to find that kill But another question I have here is this Gilgamesh going for the fighter's mask. It does give you that extra early power, but it's not typically what we see. Instead, could get better use out of going into Jotuns or a beat stick for this early game.
Definitely something that we don't see on a normal basis. But another thing that you may not see on a normal basis is the Savage Monk being caught out like this in the enemy jungle. He is taking so much with 4 members here. And there was an attempt from Pingu to help him out, but too little too late. He is taken down as Cypherx did use the ultimate. Same with Immortal. And this is not looking good. They are jungling around the RDO, but in comes Dimmadome. He tries to find the ultimate, does get 3. The beads from Cypherx is more than enough to keep the damage going. Warden will find the kill onto Pingu. Dimmadome will return the kill onto Warden, however, and it's all up to Busha to be able to help his support. And honestly, at this point with that get shield, it may be available, but the tether comes out. They may tower, yes, they will tower dive. Cypherx will get the kill onto Dimmadome. He will also teleport onto Busha, who's trying to find the kill onto the Osiris, but the body blocks won't allow it. He changes over to the Raijin. He's finding himself low.
Wheelix
and in is coming the jungler Monk. He's found the kill onto Fuel. He's trying to find another, but it's so much deeper. Does get the double kill and the surviving from Busha as well.
What a big fight there for this Wheelix. Gets the triple kill before it's all said and done. An overextension from Gas Pedal, wanted to find even more, but sitting around a T1 tower long enough for them to get back into the fight is not good, but not good is taking this much damage from the ADC who almost drops. We see another fight breaking out here. This time though, not Warden will finally win it onto Savage Monk, notching one back the way of Gas Pedal.
I'm starting to get curious when one of these teams is finally going to give up on continuing the fight on this right side and just go do
it won't be here.
Scorpioners and okay. Oh, okay. Okay, this is only playing further into WKey's favor because at the end of the day, they're up 9 kills to 4. They're up nearly 3k gold. And at some point, someone's got to make the decision. There's too many people here. Get an objective elsewhere.
That has been a bit of the issue for WKey, is looking at these objectives we saw in the first game. They had the reins for quite a while of the game, but just focused on getting these kills instead of getting the stuff after the stuff, as you've heard said before. But talking about stuff, could be in trouble here is Neath. The ultimate coming out from Raijin is ringing true for the moment, and the Sobek is going to use the Lurking in the Waters, finally picked up there by Cypherx.
We have seen one of the weaknesses of Neath exposed in this play, with Sobek being allowed through. He's able to time the backflip to get a free pluck. Unfortunately for Busha, that means a free death going the way of Cypherx and the kill. So this is allowing them to make a little bit of a comeback in terms of gold, possibly pressure as well. As we see Gas Pedal, they are putting on the gas pedal, trying to find a 3v2 to at least play more members. They're trying to find Dimmadome, but he gets a nice little double on the ultimate. Busha takes down Lizard Fuel with the ultimate throw from the fountain. And that means the solo lane has just opened wide for WKeys. They may be able to find themselves a solo tower in return and a rotation from the RDO, which means Gas Pedal looks like they may have overstepped their boundaries.
Could have, and the ultimate coming out as Desert Fury rings true, not Warden. Picks up Savage Monk there. The fight's still raging on his soul. Finally rotates in. Raijin on the backside. Looks like they're going to pick up another one, trying to secure this ADC.
Well, so far they aren't being punished any further. The boundaries have not been taken away. Isug set some boundaries with Warden, though, tells him not to continue pressuring a Soul ADC, who's very big, level 11 already. And a double kill, punishing Immortal as well. They're looking for even more, but the 2 remaining members from this fight are able to get away. And this is where Pingu has shown up as well. This does mean trouble for Gas Pedal if they don't continue to play safe.
Gas Pedal cannot find clean engagements. Every time they get a couple of picks, they just force themselves into the jungle too far, get punished for it. And while Gold Fury won't go down, the Scorpion will go down, which allows even more pressure for this WKey team, who's been able to counterpunch so well. And part of that is we've seen so much being put into Doug Dimmadome, who on a Geb with the shield on themselves is going to live for quite a while. This Rockman, very tanky, even for it to be so early in the game. It's just not worked out focusing the tanks this hard.
Deb support does have 2 kills on him, but he's also 3 kills, 3 assists, and Oh, the back not under tower. Savage Monk's able to find the knock up, the ult, and the feather step for the kill, bringing number 13 up for W Key. The stun coming out from the drop kick over in mid lane for Warden, but unfortunately for him, there's no further follow-up with 2 rotating from the right-hand side. Maybe further trouble. Pingu's diving under tower. The Psycho Drums will avoid the Cataclysm. Savage Monk will find Sifrix, though, going past the tower for the mid laner. And Warden will find the return kill onto Pingu with the help of the tower. Babusha gets the stun using that passive ring as well. Oh my goodness, the burst damage from that one was too much for him. 2 for 1 in this engagement and the tier 1 in mid.
Big engagement for W Keys to able to get that T1 and secure the kills on the backside. And we wondered how this Neath slotted in. Well, it slots in by 1 being able to secure that long range kill earlier on to add to a pick comp already, that ability to get out stragglers. It also supplies this burst, and we got a really nice look at that in the mid lane just there, able to combo the 1 and 2 and just absolutely blow up whoever's standing there. Neath has quite a lot of ability damage, and it looks like they want to augment that with a little bit of crit coming through.
One thing we don't see too often from a lot of Neath players when it comes to this weave is using the Spirit Arrow with it as well to cause the explosion. Most use it for the healing, and they do manage to use it very well, but this time Busha has decided he wants to burst damage over the heals instead. But over in dual lane, a little bit of explosion early on as Supernova was used to try and take down Kira, but the counter rotation coming through has put W Key's dual lane in a bit of a trouble spot themselves. They're able to get back towards their tier 1 tower. With Warden here, he's going to try and find the invade. Savage Monk going to be too little too late to counter this. And unfortunately as well, it looks like the fight may not be able to go in their favor that soon. However, he is going to go on to Immortal.
Seeing the chase out here, Wheelix uses the beads, jumps away, lurking in the water is used, and the Neath going to be here, gets the root for the moment. Rotation, however, coming on the backside of Raijin, who could be turned on. Geb looking for the chase down, Ardio on their way.
This engagement is being prolonged as both teams keep finding each other in terms about the jungle. Monk blinks in, does not find a knockup, but does manage to get out of the ultimate from Warden, and just in time as well as this dude with this sniper. Busha yet again taking a kill away. Warden will fall to him. And we see Pingu, he is pressuring the back line, the cripple, the stun, even through the tether. He doesn't care. He's surging on and just protecting what he can. Cypherx forced out on the left-hand side of this fight. And W Key, they are living up to their name right now because they are W keying this fight, going deep into the enemy jungle, even with objectives up on the map.
Yeah, they're getting really deep into the jungle, and once again kind of tunnel visioning onto these kills. We saw that in the first game. They get this lead and then don't push it maybe as well as they could to end these games early on, but they are certainly looking dominant in these team fights, so not surprising that they continue to take them. But talk about a team fight, we have one in the mid lane.
Yeah, again, Cypherx is forced to use the beads to avoid danger as Pingu, coming out from the tether of Lizard Fuel, was able to find a little bit of damage and tried to find some CC as well. Lizard Fuel nearly falling in that engagement, but was not punished overall. So quick back, buy on what he can, heal up, come right back. Is 15 minutes in, this Gold Fury is still standing strong.
Gold lead, though, firmly in the hands of W Key, as we see on the grass. 5,000 the difference, 9,000 roughly the XP difference, and we've seen it come through for them. Have got a nice lead on the support. They also have leads in most of their other lanes, with this Neath really leading the player damage chart, sitting at 12,000. Now, we've got to talk about the performance, but we've also got to talk about this build a little bit. Another part slotted in that I didn't expect a whole lot is this Sunder. We typically don't see that on a carry instead of the Aegis, which you do see a lot of just for that survival aspect.
Busha extremely confident in his ability to play the Neath in the mid lane. It does give his team abilities to burst down, especially since, Busha just Sunders, backflips, Spirit Arrow. It's quite a bit of damage off that immediately. So it could also be to counter, honestly, Warden, who is going to buy into more of a hybrid style. It looks like he's going for the Redwind Shield. But in the meantime, WK have started up the Gold Fury nearly 16 minutes in. It is burning down extremely fast. Supernova is used to try and secure, but Gas Pedal strips it away, going all in on the back end. Warden was being pressured out by Monk, nearly falling, has to find him as well as safety. Same with Cypherx. The blink in though, coming in from Monk, is unable to find the target he wants. Busha gets a double kill on Sakira and Lizard Fuel. He's trying to find even more as we see Sobek getting taken down by Pingu. No triple kill there for Busha, but instead they get the reward of a 3 for none in exchange for the Gold Fury alone, and they may find themselves a tier 2 in mid.
They're able to find this tier 2 with the 3 kills. Not going to get a lot of value out of stealing that Gold Fury away as you would like to have, and that was a big steal for them. It really was, but then sticking around and taking these offhanded engagements on the backside just doesn't work out. You need to leave after taking that because you haven't been able to consistently win these team fights. You're playing exactly into where WK wants to be, especially if you're going to be that split up with not Warden trying to get out, but the frontliners starting to look into the back line. It was just very discombobulated there on the side of Gas Pedal, as it should have been a whole lot cleaner.
All but the support of WK have a 2 to 3 level lead at the moment. In this left tier 1, barely saved by Cypherx as it was about to fall to a minion. It's one hit still, so we can essentially count this down, but as long as it is up, the Titan does have those protections. Over on this right-hand side, we see the Fire Giant Scorpion finally being done 17.5 minutes in by WKs. They are going to try and find the advantage for those objectives spawning soon. But over in the mid lane, see a little bit of a stall coming out as both teams are clearing, and Busha wanted to find as much as he could. Unfortunately, it was only onto Immortal, who still has enough tank at this point not to take too much.
Now keep in mind that the Fire Giant will be coming up soon, and likely WKs will be looking that way. For their draft, though, they don't have the best secure, and that is exactly what we saw around the Gold Fury. Because they don't have this traditional mage to secure things down, Neath not going to be able to do the best job of that. Likely actually falls on the Soul to try to lock that one up for them with the Supernova. So not surprising to not see them look directly to the Fire Giant. Instead, going to try to get the Pyromancer. A pick sets them up a bit better for it, as those 50-50s, if they're able to go that way, are likely in Gas Pedal's favor if they can get a really nice Tycho drums.
Well, unfortunately, no 50-50 here, as they were not able to find their way to the objective in time. Beads used by Kira to avoid the stun from the ultimate of Busha. Does take the damage, but again, not enough to find the kill. However, this tower is way too low for him to stick around with his Sug, willing to take a little bit of poke to go in. Surprisingly, he didn't hit the tower, but the knock-up, the ultimate found from Monk, the knock-up from his support will guarantee the kill onto Kira. And the combination from these two has played out well so far. 20 to 8 kills, 19 minutes in, and 9k gold just about in the lead. They're already getting close to 10k, and we are not even at the 20-minute mark yet.
Very large lead for them here. They're rotating back towards this Fire Giant, so we may see it finally get pulled for them. And RDO, down by the speed buff, should have really good eyes on this Gas Pedal team starting to filter in. Should be on the zoning duty, but it looks like they're going to pick it up a little bit in the meantime. Probably going to be a bait in just because of what we mentioned earlier, though they can burn this pretty fast with 2 hunters.
You see the support, Dimmadome, getting knocked up on the team of WK, and in comes the jungler for Gas Pedal along with the soul laner. They're trying to find it with the camp, but Stu does too much damage finding the kill onto Warden. Also, the Fire Giant with help of his Supernova. And Gas Pedal, they have to rethink this engagement entirely now as they are starting to back away because WK, as their name suggests, are not afraid to keep moving forward.
No, and with 5 members having that Fire Giant will be a really tough fight for Gas Pedal, as even when things are on a more even footing, they haven't been able to find the success in these team fights they would like. It's going to come down to them finding a good Phoenix defense, and they have this Raijin, of course, which is really nice for it. You can also look for a Sobek pluck early on to bring someone in and disrupt that planning. On the left side, though, they might be able to get a T1 here, but keep in mind, Neath is on the way over.
Busha has been definitely feeling hot this game. The tier 1 does manage to fall, but he is more than willing to chase down this on her. Oh, the Spirit Arrow just off the mark. The pillar into himself. Oh, no, Kira.
Unfortunate.
Oh, he didn't get it to the side enough to guarantee the slow. Only hurt himself. Unfortunately, puts himself on the 40-second respawn timer. And this Primal Fury is looking nice and tasty to W Key.
That's just unfortunate there. You had this great plan to slow him down and you only end up hindering yourself. But it works out in the favor of W Keys, who will gladly take the gift, take the Primal Fury as well for themselves, and now they can focus down on this push. It looks like we see them on the left side going to go for this T2 before. They do still have a little bit of a timer on the on-her, but before the Phoenix push starts, should be able to be up in time. So that's good for the gas pedal side, as you're certainly going to want this Hunter to be a part of it. Has not been able to find as much success in these team fights as they'd like, though, at 0 and 5. We'll see what they're able to do on the defense.
Well, after finding that pick, still with Fire Giant, W Key say the left side of the map is the call. The tier 2 falls. The Phoenix siege is beginning. And it looks like Savage Monk maybe not be looking to split push the mid lane, instead almost attempting to go through the wall in the center of the jungle, with the blink coming in from the support of Gas Pedal, is finding himself punished more than W Key are at all. Pingu finds himself under the Phoenix, taking quite a bit of poke, trying to find what he can, but two members of Gas Pedal are low, and it is both your tanks. Warden now falling low as well, as he was in the backline all alone. Monk will get the kill onto him. Pingu doing everything he can to keep members out of the fountain from healing, but they managed to regroup in the Titan room, so the left-hand Phoenix will fall, and mid Phoenix will be the next call.
W Key could be able to look at this one pretty easily, having the numbers advantage and having that healing, though it looks like they're going to take a few moments to catch up on some healing themselves. Really unfortunate pluck there. It was good to look for that pluck and get it, but the Sobek had to go out of the Phoenix just a little bit too far, and then plucking them right at the mouth of the Phoenix. There's not anyone able to step up and put the damage on to capitalize off of that, and it just goes badly from there. Has to immediately get out because of the damage that's being put onto them, and that leaves Not Warden, like you mentioned, in the back line all by themselves, and this Gilgamesh is not going to be able to survive that at level 15.
5 level difference over in the jungle. 3 for the mid and solo, 4 in the support, and another 3 for the ADC lane. And this matchup overall has been an incredible fight from start to end. Unfortunately for Gas Pedal, W Key have been finding the better end of it every single time as we've gotten further and further into the game. Pyromancer goes their way as well. Fire Giant will be spawning in here soon, so they're going to get their vision and positional advantage. And Gas Pedal, they may just want to give this Fire Giant up and try for a Phoenix defense.
Could be a pick here if they're able to get onto Gilgamesh, and it looks like they're going to be able to. Ultimate's coming out in trade, though, as Winds of Shamash is used, and that will be enough of a space creation to get them out. W Key's going to head back towards this Fire Giant, but hold on, Geb could be picked out here if they're able to capitalize.
Well, after all of the CC being used from Immortal, he's just going to use the shield, put himself under the tier 2, and his team's nearby, so they're just going to take the tier 2 as well. Gas Pedal, unfortunately, that's without the Fire Giant on W Key, so they're going to have to do what they can to just protect this left lane and honestly keep themselves alive.
At this point, Gas Pedal is probably looking to give up the Fire Giant. You can look for a little bit of a cheeky steal, but as I say that, they are starting to filter back towards this Fire Giant, not ready to give it up just yet. They do, of course, as you mentioned, have this left wave to contend with, and with one member over there, likely W Key is going to try to bait this out if they can keep eyes on the Gilgamesh, and 5v5s have not been going Gas Pedal's way. I don't foresee a 4v5 going their way either.
Why? Kira all alone at the Fire Giant is just immediately picked off. Busha with this crit build on Neath, doing incredible amounts of damage with the backing of Transcendence. And this is an unfortunate situation for Gas Pedal. The ADC down for 30 seconds. This Fire Giant is essentially now free. Your members are pushing up the left-hand side. Not a single one, honestly, is anywhere on the right side for defense. W Key, if they get there fast enough, they may have a free right-hand Phoenix.
Should be able to look at it either way, with On Her being down for a little bit longer, the wave pushing. That looks like that is going to be what they're trying to do, and they have good engage. Look for them to take this pretty easily unless something being able to be cooked up by Gas Pedal.
Well, we see blinks coming in from both sides, but unfortunately for Gas Pedal, it comes at the cost of their support and jungler being taken heavily down, one following the other barely dancing around alive. It also means that Cyphrix and Lizardfuel are both now in trouble. Monk finds the mid laner of Gas Pedal. He wants to find more, and the Titan is doing as much damage as it can, but it's falling under attack. The left-hand side Phoenix is not up. The right has fallen. It's weak. It's getting only weaker and weaker, but the counter engagement has started. Busha able to backflip away from Fuel, who is full health. Pingu finds Kira after the respawn. Long finds another kill onto Warden. This is going to be game, match, set, point, as Fuel finally takes down a Sug, but too little, too late. 26 plus minutes. W Key have found the 2-0.
W Key run back essentially the same strategy as they did in the first game. Get a strong jungler and mid laner that will work really well to combine between the two, and they do it again. You see 9-3 out of the Awilix, you see 8-1 out of this Neath. They ran that same strategy back, and Usug quietly contributing as well as they did in the first game before. It just came together for them around these objectives. Outside of the Gold Fury, we're able to secure the rest, and around these team fights around the objectives, the big piece of it there that led to them being able to secure them. It looked like Gas Pedal would have a couple fights go their way, but just were never able to find solid footing.
No, unfortunately for them, this game, not only game, but the two set, it's just something W Key. They were able to live up to their team name the entire time. And I mean, Monk seemed like he was running the entire map in the jungle.
Certainly did look like that, and it was tough for this Gilgamesh to deal with. It had all that damage put onto them in the engagements and the focus, and Monk is really able to counter them a bit with that ultimate, the Gravity Surge, able to pull them back in. You have this Ardio and Geb to strip out the beads from Cataclysms. It makes it difficult, and whenever you're this far down on top of it, you're not going to be able to withstand the damage coming from Busha, coming from Isug to take them on in the backline.
No, an unfortunate loss here for Gas Pedal, but W Key, a big congrats to them as they are going to be moving on from the semifinals. But to break down this one and how moving forward is going to be for W Key, we're going to send it back over to Batu and Snaked to take it over.
Thank you, Vengeance, and thank you, Bastion, for that wonderful cast. And yeah, Snake, it was pretty crazy to see there, but Neath crit, despite some nerfs to crit, crit still hurts. Hurts a lot.
You're really surprising from especially coming from a Neath that you see her always with Transcendence, Blossom build that is also like really popular right now on Hunter. So now we know that she can also hurt with crit.
Yeah, pretty solid game there. All around there from W Key as they were able to wrap up this win and put themselves in the finals, which they will be facing off against Broken Immortals for this Gladiator division, which will be a showdown as the only loss between both teams all season was in their head-to-head. So should be a good game up ahead for them.
Sounds a really good game, really contested game. This team, Double Key specifically today, really showed, I will say, because even with the draft on the second game that wasn't really like had like something like a special, like something to aim, they really showed up, especially we know the crit Neath, but I wanna shout out especially the Awilix this game, because on the early game a lot of the engagement that Gas Pedal tried to do, she was really contesting in those fights, so that was really good from them.
Yeah, everything from the aggressive dual lane to a very laid back dual lane, and so Aphrodite, mid lane Neath, as we said with the crit, and that Awelix. I'm right there with you. There were some strong picks all around, and should be exciting to see them coming next week for their championship. But with that, that's going to end our cast today. Tune in next week because we're going to have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all through the weekend. We're going to have some collegiate stuff as well as we're going to start bringing you some of the finals from some of these divisions, which should be some great games. But on behalf of Vengeance and Bastion on the cast, myself, Finn Snake, and of course the great Ted Listens on production for us here, you guys have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your week up ahead.